Hey everyone, we're back again, and this time we're checking out FK arms. So today I have a pretty basic setup right now. One is a set of joints, our left shoulder joint, left elbow joint, and wrist joint, with a little pop for a hand so that we can figure out the controllers are going to control the rotation axis. And we're going to set up or duplicate this FK controller, which as you can see is a little fancier than like your average curve, and it's basically just there to help us figure out and create what we need for an FK controller. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the FK controllers first because obviously we want to be able to do that. So let's grab this, pardon me, and hit V. V for very cool. And then duplicate this, Control D, D for dog, and snap this one over as well. We're also going to scale this down a little bit. So this comes down a little bit, Control D, another duplication, and then let's snap to the wrist joint as well. Again, a little bit of a scale down does not hurt, and in fact, it looks more aesthetically pleasing if you do. So let's just go ahead, pop this in, maybe not too small because that might, if it's too small, it might get caught in the geometry and be difficult to select, but otherwise, this is where we are. So the quick and easy thing that you want to remember, or the major thing that you want to remember with FK controllers is, of course, or with any controller, is that you do not want translations or rotation values. The other thing that we tend to want is we want to make sure that they match in rotation axes to their controlled objects. So here you can see all of these controllers have the same axes as the joints that they'll be controlling. At which point I can take this, I can zero this out, I can delete history. There's no problem, right? Let's name these things really quick. Then this is just a question of how to connect all of these. So you can do a few simple things. You can take this, you can constrain this to this. Oops. You can do that would be an orient constraint. And a lot of people will tell you to do that. However, constraints are very, very heavy. So if you have a full rig where you're using a lot of constraints, the more constraints you use, the slower your rig will get. Instead, I really prefer to use the method where you do direct connections using the node editor. And that's one of the major reasons for why we actually make sure that we have our all of our axes matching. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to just go ahead and do a quick set of connections. So I'm going to bring these joints in, add them in like so. You can also just hit 3 to make sure that their rotation values match. And we've got left wrist control. We should probably set it up with the wrist joint like so. And this is a pretty simple process. Rotate to rotate because these are exactly the same. If these were not direct, if these weren't exactly matching, you wouldn't be able to do like a simple direct connection like this. You'd have to do it axis by axis. But, you know, until then. So right now what we do have is a set of controllers. You can see the shoulder control is able to move things. But weird. Isn't that weird? Let me think. Why? Why oh why is it that when this moves, these guys don't move with it? I mean, you probably already know, but here's a little teeny tiny final step that you have to do. You take your controllers and you parent them under each other so that their movement actually coincides with wherever each of these joints go. Because as you can see, once this moves, it relocates each of the actual translations of these joints. These guys are currently not getting any inputs. Nobody's telling them where to go so they can match and follow the joints that they're controlling. And they're only controlling the rotations of these joints. So, going ahead, parenting these things under each other becomes super important, because then you'll actually have a functioning FK